All right, so the fights that will go on among them, Ronda Rousey coming back for the first time since her obviously devastating loss to Holly Holm more than a year ago. Rousey, slight favorite at -137. Amanda Nunes, first title defense, first fight for her since UFC 200. She is +117. This fight is absolutely fascinating, and I think people are having a hard time making a prediction. The betting line suggests that money is coming in on Amanda Nunes. It did early, and seemingly here during fight week it is again for Ronda to be now south of -140. I think that's remarkable. I really do. I was wrong in saying to people if you wanted to bet Ronda Rousey, the time to get her was a couple weeks ago. I still think public money is going to push her back to that -150 threshold, Kenny, but dude, I have no idea who's going to win, and I'm very excited, as I'm sure you are, to watch this thing live.
Yeah, and I think the reason why there is so much confusion about this fight between Rousey and Nunes is the fact that, Nunes has been red hot lately. She's a fast starter, a lot like Rousey. But more than anything else, the last image we have of Ronda Rousey is her getting knocked out by Holly Holm, and that has really skewed the perspective of what Ronda Rousey is all about, I think. And it's also been 411 days since her last fight. So a lot can happen in that time. A lot can happen in that time. And I think that both for Rousey in a positive way and in a negative way. I think Rousey also was fighting with a lot of injuries. She had a lot of stuff going on. Not the case now. She's been focusing just on her training. Hopefully that's been a very positive thing for her technique-wise and learning-wise. And for Amanda Nunes, I mean, there are a lot of question marks for her as well, because she can go from being red hot to making a lot of mistakes within just about 10 minutes. You see how she started against Shevchenko in the first round as opposed to how she started in the third round. It looked like two different Nuneses. So there's just a lot of questions for me in this fight.
You like Rousey to win this thing, don't you? No, save it.
I do. Well, we'll talk about it. But yeah.
I can tell you do. You do. Hey, you might have to make a walk to that sports book. I don't think there's anything in your contract preventing you from doing so. I just wonder, is Amanda Nunes the most dangerous fighter that could face Ronda Rousey here in her return? And I'm not sure she's that. I think her current form maybe suggests that she is. And when you look at her wins, I mean, a lot of them, Kenny, are of a high quality. Back in 2013, even beating someone like Germaine Durandamy, who had just buckets of striking experience, and Valentina Shevchenko, Sarah McMahon on her resume, as is Miesha Tate. I mean, she is battle-tested, and sometimes I think the losses Amanda Nunes has absorbed can work to her favor as well. I'm just not sure she's the most dangerous fighter on the roster in this division that Rousey could face in her return. I still think, the whole matchup is more difficult one potentially for Rousey. I mean, I really wonder if Rousey's going to be able to get the clinch and how Amanda Nunes will hold up when her takedown defense is tested. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. I think she's going to get Ronda Rousey at her physical best. I mean, what do you think Ronda's been doing for 11 months? I think she's been working her ass off.
I think so too, man. And I think Amanda Nunes, let's talk about Nunes. First of all, can she win by knockout? Absolutely. She's very good from the long range. Her jab is phenomenal. And once she starts firing that jab, man, she gets that 1-2 going. She lands a very heavy cross, has excellent kicks, especially leg kicks. I'd be interested to see if she tries to attack that knee of Rousey that has been giving her problems. And if not, that just to kind of slow her down a little bit. And if she can keep her at that long range, she's good. But when she tries to get on the inside, she allows for her opponents to clinch with her. And obviously that's where Rousey is going to thrive and look good against Nunes. We've seen Nunes struggle with takedowns against people like Kat Zingano. Even trying to take down Shevchenko late in the round, she was beat up by Shevchenko, who's not the best ground fighter in the world. So it's hard to find out what kind of Amanda Nunes is going to show up on Friday night. I think that early on, Rousey has to be very careful. She's going to have to be very measured and really be very careful when she sets up her clinch.
So are you more worried or interested when it comes to the physical or the psychological with Ronda Rousey? Because I believe it's going to come down to her execution. I think she's going to be in the shape of her life. I think she's going to have shored up holes behind closed doors with microphones off. And I'm not saying she's going to go in there and be the best striker in the division, but I think you will see tightening there. I just wonder with the pressure, which is, I mean, I'm anxious watching this fight, and I'm not Ronda Rousey. Like, I don't know. Some athletes, man, they seem immune to it. The pressure, the emotion, the adrenaline. I just think it's fascinating to see how both fighters, because for Nunes, dude, I mean, Rousey walking down the tunnel, that's a big deal. But I'm just curious how you think Rousey is going to handle it, and if that's more of the X factor for you than physically what type of improvement she's made.
It's an immense amount of pressure for Rousey to deal with this, coming back and fighting a very tough opponent in Nunes. I think it's all about the psychological aspect of the fight. And I find it interesting that she isn't doing any media at all. She's not going to be doing the press conference leading up to the fight. The only thing she's going to be there for, present for, are the weigh-ins and the fight. And I wonder why that is. Is it because she doesn't want to deal with the questions of what happened in that last fight against Holly Holm or what she's been doing? Is she being secretive on purpose to kind of throw Nunes off? Is she doing it because of time constraints, or is she going to be doing other bigger media and not MMA media? So I'm curious as to why that is, what her reason for that is. If it's to kind of protect her ego and maybe not answer those questions and not face the questions of what happened with Holly Holm, that concerns me. But we just haven't heard a lot from Ronda Rousey, so you're not quite sure of what kind of psychological state she is really in heading into this fight against Nunes. It's just a lot of secrecy.
It is so interesting, and it's going to be interesting to see Ronda Rousey in and around these events, and obviously she won't be there on Wednesday, which will be press conference day. You're not getting an open workout, presumably, and I wonder what it is, Kenny. I mean, I know she has addressed some of those questions in controlled atmospheres with some framing, and obviously with Ellen DeGeneres and in other select places. She didn't turn down the Anakin Florian podcast, by the way. We respectively decided not to reach out. I was going to send the direct message, and then I thought, dude, just lay out here. Just lay out. So, but she did not turn us down. But I just feel like from a betting standpoint, and more on this coming up in the main event challenge here shortly, but how are bettors not salivating over Ronda Rousey in the -130 range, right? And this has nothing to do with Amanda Nunes. I give her every chance to win the fight.
Yes.
You're betting a number. You're not betting a fighter. Ronda Rousey was like -2,000 in her last fight. She's -137, and at least right now it's sitting there, and my twin brother won't stop texting me, dude, I love Amanda Nunes, keeps dropping. I got to load up on Nunes, We'll see. We'll see how it all plays out.
It's interesting, man. They have 7 common opponents among them. Julia Budd, Sarah DeLelio, Alexis Davis, Idiani Gomez, Sarah McMahon, Misha Tate, Kat Zingano. This video courtesy of MMAmania.com. Nunes is 4-3 against those women. Rousey is 8-0. And obviously Nunes is a different kind of fighter now. Obviously she really has made great improvements, but I'm just very curious as to what Nunes is going to show up and what Rousey, for that matter, is going to show up. But I think Rousey just has been more consistent, and I can't wait for this weekend, man. It's going to be fun.